now, I can't even tell you. It is like, I know it's only says it's 27 degrees, but our house gets 15 degrees hotter inside than it does outside. And then upstairs gets another 10 degrees hotter upstairs. So it's like, yay! Now, Tony will be catching up shortly, but before he does pop in, there are a couple of things that I want to address. Things that have affected not only people worldwide, but also locally here as well. So worldwide, we've had an issue with cyber issue, actually, a tech issue, which has literally grounded flights, put airports on, hold, stopped doctor surgeries from opening up. It's stopped hospitals from running efficiently because they've got no, they've got no lists to say who's coming in and who's not. It's caused a lot of issues. A lot. Oh, hello. Well, hello.
Morning.
How you doing?
Trying to wake up.
Bless you. So it was all happening when you were sleeping, mate. The whole world went nuts.
What happened?
Okay, so there was a dodgy patch upload to Microsoft.
Okay.
Which stopped flights, airports, hospitals, government offices, pretty much you name it, it screwed it.
I didn't know that.
And in fact, a lot of the shops over here weren't able to accept card payments. They were only able to take cash. Yeah. Australia actually grounded flights. Qantas and another airline have completely grounded flights. This happened today. While you guys were sleeping in the States. We've all been dealing with this.
Well, that might explain because this is like overly glitchy for some reason.
Yes. So, Microsoft had an issue. CrowdStrike, who are a cybersecurity company, have managed apparently to put a patch in to fix the patch. Whether it works or not, I can't tell you. Where is that coming from now? Why can I hear myself?
I don't know.
Okay. So yeah, that's been fun. It's also meant that Tanny, who delivers pharmaceuticals, he delivers to doctor surgeries, chemists, pharmacies, hospitals, has only been able to take out this afternoon what didn't go out yesterday or this morning. So if anything was ordered this morning, it couldn't be ordered because there was no ordering system. And it just walked through the... Yeah, so there you go. That's been happening. So apparently, though, CrowdStrike have apparently fixed the issue. Apparently. It's just taking a while to catch up with everybody. So we shall see how it goes. But, meanwhile, let's say hello to people in chat. Hi, Annie, our urban homestead. How are you, darling? TJ is in the house. Teresa Jukiewicz and Miss Anne Haynes is in the house. Hello, darling. How are you? So, yeah, it's been all fun and games. Yeah. There were people who my stepdaughter was working with who usually go and grab a drink for work. And they're like, no one's accepting cards. And she's like, what? You don't have any cash on you? She goes, I never carry cash. I only carry cards. Ever since 2020 and all that, they only carry cards. Because obviously at that time, no one was accepting cash. It was completely the other way around. So, yeah. Yeah.
Unreal.
I did put out a community post earlier for those who want to go and look at it. Yeah, go read it. It's a little bit of advice of what to do while this is going on. Just make sure you've got some cash on you is the main one. And please don't take your frustrations out on other people. They're going through it too. And you're not the only one to give them a bollocking that day. They probably had 50 others do it as well. So if you want to be on the receiving end of that, because karma will get you. That's all I'm saying.
Wow.
Yeah. So, anyway, that's number one. Number two. Last night in Hare Hills, which is a suburb of Leeds, there was a massive riot. Well, it wasn't as big as it could have been. Like, we're not talking LA riots here. We're talking localized attack on the police and social services riots. There was a family, a Roma family, which is Romani Gypsy, Roma family. Their child had fallen down the stairs, broken their arm. Social services were coming in to take all the children. So they handled it incredibly badly. Didn't have anyone with them that spoke the same language. Didn't decide to do anything. The police decided to go in heavy-handed and use smoke bombs, which actually ended up killing one of the children because they suffocated. And that's when it all kicked off. Yeah. So there was a police car that was tipped upside down. There was a double-decker bus that was set on fire. A very good friend of the channel and a very good friend of mine, Moth and Ali, who happens to be the Green Party councillor for Gibton and Hare Hills, was there last night. He was actually taking things off people who were throwing them on the bonfire. And he's been on the TV being shown doing this. Like, he took a wheelie bin off a couple of kids and a pallet off another fella and said, this is my community. You know, there are other children here as well. You know, what you are doing is not okay. Apparently it finally subsided at about 3 o'clock this morning. But it's all being, you know. Yeah,
Wow.
I remember the riots in Ely, in Cardiff, 33 years ago. And I will say it's 33 years ago because BAM was 3 months old when they kicked off. And they didn't stay within Cardiff. They moved up to the surrounding villages, and we lived in the surrounding village. Yeah.
Wow.
It was not pleasant. It was not nice, and it was downright terrifying. I'm not going to lie to you. You know, so I mean, I understand people get emotional, and I understand they get upset. Destroying other people's property is not going to help. You know, it wasn't the bus company that did anything, and those coppers are actually only doing their job.
Right.
But the whole situation was handled very, very badly, in my view, personally. But then I wasn't there, and I've only had one side of the story. Okay, so there is always more than one side of the story. Now, there's going to be about 5 sides of the story. Oh, thank you. Oh my glass, the water. This is my sweat rag today. I'm just like, I'm seriously just drowning over here right now. I'm having to have this underneath my elbows so that I don't slide off my desk. Are
you swimming?
Pretty much. I am so sweaty that my headband has literally puffed off my head while we've been talking, and it's just holding my hair back.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is always more than one side of the story. There is the family side. There's each of everyone who was involved side. And then somewhere in the middle of all that is the truth. That as some, oh, you are the best man in the world.
That is awesome. While you're sipping, I just wanted to throw this out. Sunday, it's supposed to be 42 degrees Celsius here, which is 108 Fahrenheit.
It's that in my house at the moment. It's supposedly 27, 28 degrees outside, 29 degrees outside, because he's had his, of course, he's just come in from the van. It's 15 degrees hotter in our house. It's also 10 degrees hotter than that in the loft.
Oh, yeah.
Suck it off.
Yeah.
You're wrong weather. Get over it.
So, anywho, those things happened. There is a lot of really bad press going on here about Britain's on fire and all that kind of crap. So I just wanted to put rest to a few of those little remarks.
The Brits are on fire. The Brits.
Yeah. We are absolutely melting over here and boiling, but not because of rioting, okay?
Right.
It's because it's hot. Anywho.
Oh, poor Annie's only got 13 degrees Celsius.
We've had that all year, Annie, and it's midsummer. This is the first time it's hit over like 18 degrees all summer. I'm not going to lie to you.
And she doesn't know how to handle herself.
Bless. But yeah, so that's been happening. There's a lot of talk and a lot of really bad press, extreme press from both sides going, Britain's on fire and all this kind of stuff. They're not giving the right story. Please don't listen to them. It's a load of hogwash and bollocks. You know, unless you actually talk to someone who was there and involved, you're not going to know what's going on. And a lot of these channels that are putting this stuff about Britain being on fire rubbish don't know what they're talking about because they weren't there. They're just making crap up so that you'll watch it. Okay? It's not...
Click. That's what they're making.
Yeah, they're making clickbait, and it's got a new name. It's called Rage Bait, and it's there specifically to activate your rage button.
Yeah.
Okay, so I felt that it was necessary to address those two issues, especially the one that was local. And what's been happening globally as well, because we were talking about preparedness, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when my stepdaughter comes in this afternoon, she's talking about one of the girls who she works with not being able to buy a drink, having to lend her some cash, get a bottle. She says, oh yeah, I've always got money in the house. I've always got cash in the house just in case. She said, I never rely on the card machines. And I'm like, good girl. Okay. So, yeah. Anywho, what we're meant to be talking about today is assets. What are your assets? Are they what you think they are? Are you panicking about this question because you think, oh no, I haven't got any? Or we don't have thousands and thousands and thousands of whatever money is in your country to be able to spend on gaining assets. The whole point of this conversation is to show you that you probably don't need to spend that sort of money.
Right.
And if you do, you can spread it out because you don't need to. Seriously. Okay.
I think the biggest thing that I can think of is to start this off, and we've talked about it. You need to make a list of what you do have and what you don't have.
Yeah. It's one thing to make a list of things. But if you're starting off with absolute zero.
But you don't know if you're at zero.
You do know you're zero. Because if you've only got the clothes on your back and you, what are your assets? What are your assets? If it is just you in the clothes on your back, what have you got?
Mm-hmm.
You got you. And you've got your space. Okay, now I have been in that situation. I was in that situation after my father passed away and my mother went mental. And she chucked me and my 2 kids out.
Right.
In the pouring rain 3 days after his funeral. And I ended up in a town with the clothes on our back and a pushchair. And that was it. That's all I had. Oh, and I think I had $18. $18. And my only assets was me. And my skills. And what I could do. And my knowledge base. And from there, a lot of things happened. You know? So it's really important to look at what your actual skills are. Because if you don't have anything but you and the clothes on your back, then you have to be able to use your skill base and your knowledge and put into practice the stuff that you know. Because then that's where it becomes an asset.
Mm-hmm.
So is it possible to start from absolute zero? Yes, it is. But you have to have faith in yourself and your own abilities. And you have to sit there and go, well, what can I do?
Mm-hmm.
You know, do I have any qualifications? Do I have any access knowledge? Do I have an opportunity to start work somewhere? Do I have an opportunity? Can I do this? Can I do that? Can I go bean picking? Can I go and make cakes in someone's back kitchen or something? You know, that kind of stuff to make a bit of extra money. You know, it's important to understand that you might have nothing, but your brain might be worth millions. And I'm not talking about student debt either.
You're not talking about what?
Student debt. Sorry, I'll grab the microphone closer. Is that better now?
It's me, and I got my fan going because it's hot. So it's
okay.
I just didn't hear the student debt part. Sorry.
Yeah. So your brain might be worth millions, but it doesn't have to run with a student debt, right?
There's a lot to be said for hands-on learning, hands-on experience, self-teaching, self-taughtness. Yeah, taughtness. Okay, that's not a word, but you know what I meant by it. Self-learning. I mean, the whole point is, okay, so, and I didn't think about this until after we got the phone last night. We were talking, or you're this morning, but still. Remember when I started Noodle November?
Yeah.
And what was my goal? And this really is the key to what you're saying, I think, right here. What was my goal? Do you remember?
What, for the first year?
Yeah.
Was it to get people to make their own pasta?
It was to make people to make their own pasta. I didn't care whether you did as a collaborator or not, but I was teaching myself a new skill set that I did not know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, I may not have the equipment to make pasta. I may not have the ingredients to make pasta. But if I'm by myself with my clothes, I at least have the knowledge of how to do it if I can get access to said things.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's my point. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. And
I think it's kind of your point.
That is exactly my point. Okay. Now, there is some schools of thought that say that information, knowledge, and, is not an asset. It's a tool to, once you have the things that you need to put that into practice, it's like an inroad to becoming an asset, or an enabler to be an asset. I personally would like to say no to that. And the reason being that even if you don't have the stuff, you can still teach people how to do it.
It's up here, and if you can remember it correctly, that's a locked-in asset until we get old enough and we forget it, that you're not going to lose.
Well, exactly. I mean, like, one of the main things that you can do is is really spend time with your elders right now. Because the elders that are around are the ones who made stuff, who did stuff.
Right.
They're the ones that you want to sit with and get their recipes out their head onto paper. They're the ones who you want to get all that information out of, how they did this, how they did that, how they fixed, bumblefoot on their chickens. I know everybody knows how to do that, but a lot of people don't know how to do that. But, you don't know how to do that?
If I need to know how to do that, I have friends I can call and get a hold of. But to know it just on my own, it's not an asset.
No. So. But, these things are all assets. Hey, Brian, Scottish Breakfast 73 is in the house. Hello.
Can I answer something real quickly?
Yes.
Everybody's up in the beginning were asking me how I was doing, if I was doing better. I am doing better. There's still some side issues I'm dealing with. Like last night, I didn't know if I was going to be here after I got off the phone with Blue because I had to go lay down. I was hurting really bad.
Yeah.
It's getting better. It's just getting over it is what I'm dealing with. So I'm doing better, though. And then the heat stroke part of it was not any fun.
No, the heat stroke is not going to help you.
Oh, my Lord.
Brian! Naughty! Anne says all the women here make their own pasta, but I'm too lazy to learn that skill. I just buy it at the shop.
But just because you don't choose to learn it doesn't mean you can't learn it. It can't become an asset. But you may have assets other places that I don't know everything. I know Blue doesn't know everything. Blue knows a lot, but we've talked. There are some things she doesn't know how to do.
There's loads of things that I will hold my hand up. I mean, I am not the person to come to about pressure canning. Do not do that. I will tell you horror stories. You don't want to know. Right. You don't want to get any information about pressure canning from me.
Right.
At all. None. Jasper Pudding Face is in the house.
Yep.
Yes. So, yeah, it's looking at, yes, you can have all of the things. But then the things may not be assets if you don't know how to use them. So it's all very well going out and spending like millions and thousands and hundreds and all of this kind of stuff on all of the fancy equipment with all the bells and whistles and stuff. But if you've never used it before, and the first thing you want to do is use it in a critical crisis situation,
right?
It's no longer an asset. It's not an asset. It's just a thing that's taking up space.
Agree.
Yeah. So, you know, it's something you need to be aware of and think very. I have a joke about that. Yeah. Saying nothing. So, you know, I mean, your assets aren't necessarily only things, but if you do have stuff, look at what you have. Do a stock take of what you have. You know, whether it's hand tools, hand equipment. You might find an old generator somewhere at the back of the shed. I mean, we won't.
Yeah.
But you know, you might. You know. What was that? They don't have proper sausages here, so I'm considering buying the sausage maker and making my own. Yes! Do it!
Yeah.
Actually, on Sunday, I have a video coming out for Self-Reliant Sundays, and it is my wish list it is my wish list of foodie equipment. Okay? Yeah. And no, it's not necessarily cheap stuff, but it is a wish list.
Right.
And I go through why I want them and stuff.
Aww.
Oh, boy! Thank you! Remember, folks, assets sag with age. Oh, my dude! Anne hasn't had a proper sausage for 25 years now. So,
Ouch.
Okay. Oh my God, I'm turning beet red now. And I love you.
oh my god! That's hilarious! Oh my gosh!
I love her reply. And no, Scottish Prepper, not the one you think about. Oh, that's so funny.
Good Lord, it all happens at my channel. It never happens on anyone else's.
Oh yeah, it does. Oh yeah, it does.
I blame the marzipan in the cake.
Sounds like a fair deal.
Yeah. Oh.
Anyway.
Okay, so one of your biggest assets, whether you think about it or not, could be your dry store pantry.
Rebecca.
Sorry, Rebecca. There's shenanigans going on today. You know, who'd have thunk it, right?
Yeah. That's funny.
But yeah, your dry store pantry may be a bit more of an asset than you might take it for. Now, if you are purchasing whole foods for your dry store pantry, things like beans, lentils, peas, grains, whole spices like seed spices like coriander, cumin, fenugreek, fennel, dill, all that kind of stuff that are all seeds.
Right.
That could end up being a lifesaver for you and the way to start a garden if you haven't already got seeds and space to do that sort of stuff with. Okay. So the only thing I will say is that some herb and spice seeds have been heat treated before they come into the country. Now, I know that this happens a lot in Australia, and if they are heat treated, they will not grow.
No.
Or won't. There are ones that you get over in this country that are heat treated, and they just won't grow. The other thing you have to remember with things like seeds, those particular varieties of herbs are grown specifically for the seeds. They're not really grown for the foliage.
Right.
So, you know, it's up to you. You will get foliage off it. You just probably won't get as much as you would do if you had a different variety that is specifically grown for the leaves and the flowers and things like that. Okay, so they are grown for the seeds. So you're probably going to they probably will bolt, is what I'm saying. Okay, that's not a problem. Why? Because you can still use the seeds.
Right.
Scottish Pepper says, my gardening skills would end up like a remake of The Day of the Triffids. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen on my community page, I've got a picture of my raspberries this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was 5 plants last year. Yeah.
Is it 2? The golden ones?
No, they had the golden ones, and then I got 3 red ones. So it was 2 golden raspberries and 3 red ones. And they've taken up, I'd like to say, about a quarter of the front garden at this point.
It's what they do.
Yeah, it's what they do. It's what they do. And it's like, okay.
We were sitting there. We have a raspberry patch, and it's a raspberry patch, but we also put. No, that does not count. We're not talking about the same thing. And we were talking about, we really need to not thin it down, but we need to kind of organize the way the fruit, the berries are growing,
Yeah,
because they're just clumpy, And now we got thornless blackberries growing up in the middle of it. And I said, I really need to separate those so that the red raspberries are in one section, the blackberries are in another section. Patty's like, I don't know if that'll work or not because they may not grow back. I'm like, I sat there for a half hour thinking about it. I'm like, they're raspberries. They're going to grow back. They will take over if you let them.
they will. And at the end of every year, we cut them down to just above about that much from the ground.
Right.
We cut them off from there. And, they grow back every year because that's what good God. Someone's about to get a spanking. Not in a fun
Somebody
way.
should have his own channel and do stand-up is what I'm thinking.
Yeah. AstroTurf only counts if it's indoors.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
I like the berry one better. That was funny.
We're racially profiling berries.
Anyway.
Yes.
But the whole point I'm trying to make is that, you can raspberries, I don't care whether they're red or yellow, which yellow is one I want to get that I can't find around here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's hard to get them, but there's people that have them, but they're very secretive of whether they got them or not because it's hard to find them. Anyways.
But that's silly because they run. They've got runners on them.
They run everywhere. Yeah.
Right. So why not just give you a bit of a cane or something?
Right. I literally, in all honesty, and I've told you this, I start out with 3 raspberry bushes. Somebody gave me a thornless blackberry and a regular blackberry. All somebody gave me. That's 5 plants. I probably have in 3 years now have 30 to 40 plants in that cluster.
Oh yeah.
It takes no time for them to run and then produce a new stock. So.
Yeah. No, but they do. They take over, and that you've got to make an allowance for that. I mean, like this year, I have to cut those back. Right. We're going to have to dig some out. And I'll give them away on Facebook Marketplace or to a local. We've got an edible plant swap here in York, and so I'll just put them on there and go. Anyone want them? Here, come and get them. So yeah. Brian says, "Sorry, I'll stop." You don't have to stop. This is my channel, dude. Anything goes here, pretty much. This is why no one sees me unless it's alive. On a serious note, climate is pretty poor here for growing it. Maybe. There are ways of doing it, though. There are ways of doing it, and you can do it. So, you know,
And put in
anything's
there,
better than nothing.
and put in their planted blackberry seeds, and none came up. My blackberries have taken
Yeah.
almost 4 to 6 years to even get a berry on them. But once they do, they'll come back each year.
Yeah. So blackberries are really hard to grow from a seed. You kind of need a cutting for that.
Yeah.
Okay, it's much easier to grow from a cutting. They are literally triffids. You know, if you allow one little bit of one to go in the ground, they will grow, and that is it. And you will never get rid of them as long as you live. You know, that's literally what blackberries are like. Blackberry seeds are really difficult to actually get them to grow.
Right.
So, you know, but good luck if you can. But I would say you probably have to stratify them.
Right.
Like, seriously stratify them before you try doing it. It's the same as trying to grow lavender from seed. Don't bother. Just go and buy some. Seriously, I've tried it for 7 years in a row. I tried to grow lavender from seeds. I bought packet after packet after packet after packet. None of them came up. You know, so it's just better to buy the plant. You're not useless, darling. You're not useless.
No.
We got 3 of these things, grow pretty quick, need feeding all the time. Always being a prick and costs a fortune. The kids are older now. Yeah, see, mine's old enough now that I can go, change the lock, they've left.
Yes.
Yeah.
Annie says that they have an olive tree that doesn't have olives on it. Are they kind of the same where it takes years?
Yeah, this isn't exactly where we were going with this, but let's have a wee chat with this, okay? Because fruit trees are assets.
I'm gonna I gotta go to the bathroom. Yeah. Sorry.
Olives, fruit, like plums, peaches, pears, any. They need a lot of water. Fruit trees of any description, avocados, any of them, they will not fruit for the first 7 to 10 years of life. You may get the odd 1 or 2 here and there, but the majority of trees that you purchase at supermarkets and nurseries and stuff like that are only 1 to 2 years old. You will not get fruit, nuts, anything else of trees unless it's 7 to 10 years old. Okay? Years. Not months, not days. I get really sad when I see people going, oh no, my peach tree didn't give me anything, so now I've got to chuck it out. Well, hang on, you've only had it for a year. When you bought it, it was a year old. You know, how do you expect it to actually fruit? You know, it's not going to. The other thing is as well, if you've got fruit trees and stuff like that and you've got them in pots, they need to be up potted and they need to be repotted every single year. Okay, you can't just leave them and expect them to be okay because they're not going to be. They need feeding every year. Hang on, what have we got? That's a twig. Yeah, it's a twig. Years. I actually never knew that. Yeah, it does take years. See, fruit nut trees are investment pieces and they're investment in your food future. It's a pain when it only puts out for years. Yeah. But then olives, once they fruit, they carry on long after you're gone. Yep, my olive tree that I bought during lockdown was one of those little standard ones. I think we got like 5 tiny little, tiny pea-sized olives off it last year. And I left them on there because I thought, you know what, the birds will do better on those than I will. I didn't want to put any more stress on the plant. But that will keep trying, and it will keep going. And this year it was covered in flowers this year. So, you've just got to give it some time, and you've got to feed them. If you don't, you can't just leave them in a pot and expect them to be okay. They will eat through the soil, and then there won't be any soil left because they've literally eaten through the soil. My sister gave it to me. Mine from their place in the country have had it for 4 years. It just keeps getting taller and taller. It will do. My friend's tree is over 1,000 years old and still gets loads of olives. It will. My thought on hydroponics. Okay. So my thought on hydroponics are this. They may be necessary in some situations where you can't grow outside. That's fine. If you have no way of growing with soil in your environment and have only hydroponics, then that's what you do. Because otherwise, you're not going to get any flavor in your food. The flavor in your food comes from the soil, comes from the nutrients in the soil. And if you put the same amount of nutrients in the hydroponics as you do in the soil, and you do a test that way, you will instantly know the difference between the fruit off one and the fruit off the other.
I think the one thing about it, because we have friends that do hydroponics or a version of it, and I think when you look at it from, if you're in an area that the soil is not productive,
and you can't do raised beds,
and
you can't do raised beds.
Yeah, we're assuming, just based on what we're talking about, we're assuming you're just unable to because of the soil. Okay. Yeah. And you don't have a ton of money to go out and do raised beds with the new soil, with the amendments that are necessary. Yeah. In some cases, that would break you. I think hydroponics is a good thing. I also think hydroponics is a good thing over a non-traditional season. Like you can grow them year-round, theoretically.
Yeah. I also think that if we're going to look at this, okay, so this is preparedness.
Mm-hmm.
If we had to, say, for example, be indoors for 2 or 3 years, hydroponics.
You may lose out on what she's talking about, because I do think that the soil is...
You've got no choice. Right. Because you need to eat.
Right.
You might have food, but at least you can grow herbs, you can grow salad, you can have some kind of fresh food.
Yeah.
What Brian's talking about there is aquaponics.
Right.
With fish. I like the idea of that. That's slightly different. Okay. So yes, it's hydroponics, mostly hydroponics, but you've got the nutrients from the fish.
Right.
Which you're growing, which is absolutely brilliant. I actually really like that system, to be honest. And there was a guy, I think it was in Chicago, who had an acre of land, and he was feeding like 7,000 families from it. Is that right?
It was a large amount. It was a large amount.
And it was just a closed system in a massive greenhouse. It was amazing. And says my 2 cents about hydroponics is it looks too complicated and an initial large finance to get everything you need for it. Okay, can I just say, not necessarily.
Right.
There are ways of doing it cheaply. Yeah. And if you have a look on Yogi Hollow Farms channel and also Country Mama Musings channel,
right,
they both did a lot of stuff on hydroponics at the same time about 2 years ago.
I think that,
I want to say 2 years ago. It could be 2-3 years ago, somewhere like that. But they did a lot of stuff together then. Very smart.
Right.
Very smart. And they didn't spend a lot of money. Country Mama, so Alicia from Country Mama Musings, pretty sure it was her. Was it her or was it Lisa? They found an old salad bar from a buffet.
I want to say that was Lisa, but I'm not positive about that.
Yeah, so they basically found this old salad bar from a buffet.
Right.
And used that as their base for the hydroponics.
Right.
With mason jars.
Yep.
And they just bought the cores and the baskets to go in the mason jars.
Yep.
And that was it.
I've also seen hydroponics done with solo cups. I've seen it done with plastic coffee cans, as long as they're food grade.
Yeah.
You know.
So you could use old yogurt pots.
The whole point is there is an inexpensive way to do it. You just got to be dedicated to the process. That's regardless of how you're doing it. Yeah. You just have to be dedicated to it. Again, I agree with Blue. If you can do it in soil and it's just because you think you can't do it, give it a try in the soil. If it's not workable and you want to grow year round, and especially like she was saying, salad, greens, anything that's got a short turnaround, theoretically would be your best way to go, because it can reproduce and reproduce. So
yep. Hang on, what have we got? Okay, haven't seen or heard that one yet. First time now. No, it's okay, darling. It's fine. You know, you asked the question. That's what we're here for. That's why I don't do these videos as videos. I prefer to do them as live so we can talk in real time. You know? Brian says it's like a triple redundant system. Looked ace. I need to learn more about it. Yes. Do you remember that series, Doomsday Preppers?
Mm-hmm.
There was 2 people in there that had an aquaponics system. One of them was had converted their swimming pool.
Yep.
And that's where they were growing, and they converted their actual swimming pool into an aquaponics growing system. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's possible to do. It's just doing it. You know?
Here's the important thing to remember, and it kind of goes into what she's saying with the assets aren't, title being up above assets aren't always things, okay?
Yeah.
If you have the knowledge to do it, you could theoretically, in a situation where the water source isn't tainted, contaminated, or the like, you could down the road do an aquaponics or hydroponic system.
Yeah.
Pretty simple. If you at least have this up here with it, that's the point we're trying to make.
Yeah.
You don't have to go out and spend $10,000 to get a hydroponic or an aquaponic system together, but it is worth your time to learn it, so you have the basis of it, so that if down the road you need to, you could do it without having to take $10,000 worth of equipment with you, because you're not going to be able to take it with you if you're moving along. No. We know that.
This is something that we're going to be talking about over the next couple of weeks.
I keep trying to hush myself because...
Stop it, or I'll come over there and I'll spank you.
Right,
not in a fun way, right? So, you know, that's a conversation for 2 weeks' time.
And I'll shut up. I'll leave it at that. But I mean, but they're getting it. It's all about having it here. That's what's important for the conversation we're having.
So one of the things that I do, and I have done for a very, very long time, is over winter when it's very cold and I am literally stuck indoors, because if I go out for too long and it's very cold, my entire body seizes up.
Yes.
Okay, that's an issue that I have. That is a health issue that I have, where my body will seize if it's below a certain temperature. So I'm literally a prisoner in my home once the temperature drops below about 5 degrees. Okay. So I do things like I will find a course somewhere that I can do online that is complementary to what I already know and what my interests are. I will do that. And then I will learn some kind of crafting skill, or, you know. So for me, this year, it's probably going to be a lot of bread making and sourdough making, because I haven't done it for a very, very long time, and I really kind of need to do it.
Let's do that together, because I need to learn it. I don't know anything about it, but I would love to be, not the bread making. I know how to make bread. But I've never touched sourdough because of the starter process.
Yeah, well, that's it.
In all honesty.
I have a different kind of starter process than most people. So it's just, for me, it's more about relearning it.
Okay.
You know, but I need to learn more about yeast breads,
Right.
because that's where my skills fall down, because I've always made sourdoughs. I've never made.
You know what?
Really
I
made a
am
lot
your
of
best
yeast
teacher for the yeast part of it. Let's have a conversation. We can do a I'll walk you through video, just you and I, to walk through it. It's easy.
Hey,
It's
that
the
would be
easiest
cool.
thing in the world. It is.
Yeah. So, you know, it's about, you know, if you've never done water bathing before, if you've never done smoking of meat before, it's one for the
Right.
fellas, because I know the fellas really love doing that. I, as a woman, like doing that too. I'm just saying. But
It's not a guy
No.
thing.
but I know you guys like throwing around your meat and making it look like you know what you're doing. So, you know, I can't tend to leave that little bit alone, you know, so that you got something. But, you know, it's one of those skills that you can do over winter, and it's actually a really good one to do over winter, is learning how to smoke meats and how to traditionally preserve meat. You know, it's a really good one to do.
Yeah, I was waiting for it. I've been sitting here waiting for it.
I'm waiting for it. It's kind of why I said it. So yeah.
But I think ultimately here's the important part of what everything that's been discussed and humor set aside. Okay.
Yeah.
And we just proved a point. I think
Yeah.
one of the biggest points about this whole series that you're putting out there, to a degree.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to do it, find out somebody that does.
Yes.
Me and you just confirmed that. I don't know sourdough. You do. You don't know yeast bread making. I do. Get together and work on this. It's an easy process. And if it's not up here and you don't have at least, and Scottish Prepper just said it, ask. You won't know unless you ask. Okay?
Absolutely.
So,
you know,
can I just say one more thing with Scottish Prepper? He made a comment up here, and I think it's awesome. Best asset is your brain, knowing how to do a thing. Who has certain skills to complement yours? Just my thoughts. That is spot on, exactly what we just said. You know? So.
Yeah. He says he's doing a podcast tomorrow to help folks who don't know about power systems. Okay, so guys, go and watch it. Is that on your channel or is that on Mike's channel? Just curious.
Yes.
Because this is actually important stuff. You know, if you don't know how to set it, if you've got all the stuff first, you know, doing years. Aha, right, okay. So on UK Urban Prepper channel.
Right.
Hold on a second. Can I? No, I can't do that here. Give me a second. Give me a second. Hold, please.
I think Rochelle has joined us.
Yay, Rochelle. Hello, darling. How are you?
Are you trying to find a link?
I'm trying to find us. So I'm just going to mute myself very quickly because I don't want it to
find us. We will never find us. Okay, I got news for you. Scottish Prepper, but that's kind of what that's ultimately the point I'm trying to get to in this. Your skills may not be up to par or the level you think they should be, but there's so many resources, and that's not just a library. That's not just reach out to people, because there are people out there that you may not have any clue that they have that resource. I guarantee you, none of my guy friends are going to come talk to me about making yeast bread. They're not going to, because they don't know I make it unless they've been here to eat my bread that I've made. Okay.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's like, but then again, your friends might have secret skills you don't know about.
That's ultimately what I'm trying to say. You don't know unless you don't ask.
I happen to know that there are quite a lot of men's knitting groups. Okay?
Yeah.
There's a lot of men's knitting groups. So if you fellas wanted to learn how to knit yourself some socks or something at some point,
right,
you'd probably be very surprised at who turned up. You know?
I think the other thing that's interesting, like with me, and it's not even something I thought about until we just were sitting here talking. a lot of my crafting I did was beadwork, and that will help me in the future tying knots, learning how to get things loomed in if they need to be, it's just about a thought process.
Yeah. Brian's just saying that the screen went nuts. Okay.
I have a bee floating around here.
Ooh. Never heard of sourdough till I came on YouTube. Bake my bread with yeast. Fair enough, I get it. Okay, yep. My husband can sew and knit, and I can't. And that's okay. That's okay.
There's nothing wrong with that, right?
But she turns around and says, but I can fix computers and TVs and cars, and he can't.
Right.
See, now I found that with my ex-husband.
Yeah.
You know,
mechanical, electrical, I have no knowledge of. Basics, I know you got a positive, negative, blah blah blah. I know the basics.
Yeah.
But if I had to get in and fix a TV or a car or a keyboard or a computer,
yeah,
I'm not the guy to go to. I'm being honest.
Yeah.
But
if you can, Brian, can you put in Mike's link to his channel so that people can go there for the podcast? That would be really cool if you can. Because I think I spanned you. Because I'm nice that way. Okay.
What is Mike's again? I know I have it. I just can't think of it.
UK Urban Prepper.
Urban Prepper. See, I always forget the urban part.
So yeah, he and Scottish Prepper tend to do a bit of a live podcasty type thing. Most weekends.
Oh, I got it. Ask him if it's episode 23 or 24.
Is that the one upcoming? Is that the upcoming one?
23 is one that's already posted.
No, it'll be coming. They'll be doing it live, I think.
Okay, I'll go.
So it just a link to the channel's fine.
Okay, I will do that for you then.
Oh, it's scheduled for tomorrow.
Okay. Well, I'll get you Mike's channel, and then you can go from there.
Yeah.
Okay. And because I can't post, I'm going to put it in private, and then you can copy and paste it.
Okay. You can't post?
It won't let me post in chat. No.
Oh, for the love. You know what it's done? Send me straight over to the channel.
There you go. It's in.
Okay, there we go. No, sweetie, it's fine. Don't worry about it. You didn't hijack anything. You didn't hijack anything. It's okay.
No, it's sharing the knowledge. That's what it's about.
Yeah. So Anne says, I was the oldest and my dad didn't care. I was a girl, so I had to sit with him and pass tools and had to learn. He was a German. My dad did the same.
Yeah.
Because by the time I turned up, I was very much the youngest. There was 20 years between me and my youngest sister. So, that was a big difference. So if Dad needed to do stuff, I was, his girl Friday.
I was one of the unfortunate ones. My mom and dad divorced when I was 2 years old, so I never had a dad around to show me that. Had I, which I learned later on in life, my dad is a good backyard mechanic and knows what he's doing, and I wish I would have had that knowledge there.
Yeah.
Growing up, but I didn't. I mean, and it is just what it is,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm the youngest of 5 as well, but mine gets a little bit more complicated than that.
See, now we're on two ends of the spectrum because I'm the oldest of 5.
Yeah. See, I'm the youngest in one set of family. I'm the oldest in another. Okay. So yeah, because I was adopted by my grandparents. Really got my sister is my mum.
Right.
And my nephews are my brothers.
We've not to interrupt you. We've been here over an hour. Yes. Have we hit all the points you wanted to, just so I make sure those things get out? Okay. Because I didn't want to leave and have something unfinished.
Yeah, I think it's understanding that, family can be an asset or it can be a problem.
Yes.
Now, where my family's concerned, I have contact with one member. And the only time that the rest of them contact me is if someone's dead.
And there's that.
Obviously, there's that, and that's, I do me, they do them. I'm nothing like them, and that's I'm actually quite pleased about that I'm nothing like them. I don't want to be. So
I agree with you on that. Yes.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that at all. So it took a while to get organized on that, but I think my greatest asset is not letting them hold me down anymore.
Sometimes the best asset is not the information it's how to use the information you have.
Yeah. And it's also knowing that I think one of the greatest assets is understanding that you are more important.
Yes.
And
I'm not here to have a counseling session, but please don't ever refer to yourself as useless. Every one of us, one way or another, somewhere down the road, with one thing, if not multiple things, has useful knowledge about something, whatever that may be.
Okay? Absolutely. So, the thing is this, right? Okay. Even if you think you haven't got any skills, right? If you were in a crisis situation, had to go in with a group of people or something right now, the chances are that you're going to end up helping somebody else who just doesn't have more than two hands. That is a skill. That is an asset.
Yeah.
You are an asset to that person. You have probably saved their sanity, their physical well-being, and everything else just by being there and being an extra pair of hands. The people in a crisis that I look for are the helpers.
Yes.
The people who are willing to get in there and go, what can I do? What do you need? Okay.
See you later.
Right.
Scottish Press.
Brian, thanks so much for being here, mate. You're awesome. Okay.
Just real quick. He had said earlier, everyone brings a thing to the table, which confirms what we're saying. I love it. Humor. Rochelle said she's not useless. I like to help keep local shops and businesses in business. Funny.
That's not useless.
Yeah.
Hey, that makes you, to me, that would make you like there's a word, stores person.
Yeah.
You'd be the person in charge of stores as far as I was concerned.
Right.
Because you'd be the one who'd know where to get stuff.
And Anne made a comment. I felt useless as a gardener. It's not implicative of you that we were talking about. It's when people in general make that comment that I'm useless. Yeah. Everybody's got something. It just depends on what the something is and when would it be needed.
Exactly.
Is the important part. So.
Exactly. It's important. This is important stuff to know and important stuff to think about for yourself. I want you guys to, out of this, it's all very well saying I've got this or I've got that, or I haven't got this and I haven't got that, and I haven't got this money or I have got that money and I can spend this or I can't spend that, and all those kinds of things. But while you are waking up in the morning and you have two hands and a heartbeat, you have got all the assets that you actually need.
Right.
You just don't know it yet. Okay. So all it is figuring that out. Okay. Beverly Moffat, hello, darling. How are you?
Hello.
Anne says, oh, yeah, I'm a jack of all trades and master of none. Exactly. But
there's nothing wrong with that.
That's why in a crisis you need to have an ADHD friend, an autistic friend, and a friend who has dyslexia. Because they have superpowers.
Yeah.
The ADHD person has already thought of every angle.
Right.
Every single angle of what could go wrong, does go wrong, and how to fix it. Right? The autistic person will get everyone organized, and the dyslexic person will be your builder. because they see in 4D, which is why they split their letters up, and why they get them confused. Okay, because they see in 4D.
I'm not sure what's going on, but my private chat keeps saying I have 3 new messages, and I keep going into it, and there's nothing there other than the link I sent.
I have no idea. It's your computer.
Okay, never mind, I guess. It'll just keep giving you warning. I just wanted to make sure we had hit all of your points, though, before we left, because I
no, that's it.
Okay.
I just want to catch up with chat, and then we'll probably sign off for today. Money is like manure. It's not worth a thing unless it's spread around encouraging young things to grow. Ephraim Levi. Totally true.
Love it, love it.
And he says, I've always felt like I never fitted in anywhere and never felt good enough due to my mum expecting me to be like my older sister and younger brother. I really hate when parents do that.
Yep.
Every child is different. They have their own strengths and weaknesses. They're not going to be like the other kids. Stop it.
Oh, I like that saying.
Rochelle also says the complete saying was originally a jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one.
I love that. I love that.
That. Absolutely that.
That's great.
Yeah. Absolutely that. You know? And it says, me too, I had 4 sons and each one was vastly different than the other. Absolutely. You know, I had 2. That was enough. Oh, wow. The difference between those 2. Can I just say chalk, cheese, oil, water, whatever you want to say? You know? No. Seriously. It was unbelievable. But, you know, that's the point. We're all here for a different purpose. We're all here with a different set of skills. We're all here with a different personality to be able to cope with different things. We're made in the way that we are made so that we can do the things that we are here to do.
Right.
And if we are expected to be the same as somebody else, we're not going to be able to do the thing that we're here to do.
Agreed.
So we need to be able to allow our kids to be who they are in their own right. Yes, we need to be able to guide them. And they need to know that we're not their friend, we are their parent.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, apart from that, you know, they are their own people. And they should be allowed to be that. Jasper Pudding Face says, just bought wind up solar radio and 2 torches. Very good.
Yep.
And says, people often ask, are you sure they're all yours, not swapped in the maternity ward?
Mm-hmm.
No, mine, I couldn't get away with that. Mine looked far too much like me, unfortunately.
Kind of hard to hide.
Yeah, it was kind of hard to hide it. So, yeah, they were my kids. Anywho, thanks, guys, for being here today.
Thank you.
And we will see you again next week. We're going to be over on Mr. Tony's channel. Saturday morning, 4 a.m. BST.
Yep. 8 p.m. PDT.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to talk about the upcoming collaboration.
Yes.
Yes.
So. Sunday, or rather Monday morning for me, at about 3:30, I think it is, I will be over on Tom Garvey's channel.
Ew.
Having a chat with Mr. Tom. But I'm also starting to put my videos out, as I said that I would start doing. Okay, so this week there will be 2 videos out. Obviously there's one that dropped yesterday, which is the beans and how I saved them video. I have the video coming out on Sunday, and next week there will be one on Thursday, then the live, then one on Saturday and one on Sunday, and then we're gonna go from there.
That's all you can do. Okay,
so take it easy, guys. Love you guys heaps. It's getting very exciting, you know. Okay, we're on the road to 1,000. Oh!
very close 1,000.
Yes, it's kind of a little bit closer than I expected it to be by now. So, yeah. Anywho,
There
see
you
you
go.
later. Have a really, really awesome one, guys. And just remember, you are your best asset.
Yes.
Love you guys too.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.